So in 2025, we're in a really interesting spot when it comes to where the traditional powers sit and where some of these teams that I would classify as party crashers sit. Your Floridas, your Tennessees, I guess you could say Nebraskas, your Kansas States, schools that aren't necessarily the top betting favorite to win the national championship, and the schools that are in that top 6 when it comes to the national title contention. So if you look at the odds in Vegas, 5 of the top 6 teams that are favored to win a national championship will all be starting a new quarterback next year. The one school that's not is Penn State. So you got Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, all with new quarterbacks next year. The reason why that's intriguing is look at where we're at right now when it comes to the college football playoff. Got a 12-team format, so in some ways, by nature of the number of teams, there's more opportunity than ever before. But there's also less depth than ever before. It's not me saying that. That's Kirby Smart. That's pretty much every coach that steps in front of a microphone that's asked about the portal. It's a lot harder to have your 2 deep and 3 deep look the way that it would have looked 5 years ago. Why? Because if I'm a guy on the 3 deep at Georgia, guess what? I'm not sticking around on the scout team, brother. I'm going to go start somewhere. I'm going to go have a chance to make my own impact on a roster this year. So, with that being the case, what I think it's done is it's made the importance of the quarterback position, I think, substantially more than it's ever been. And I don't want to dismiss the threshold of roster talent you have to have, but we live in a day and age in modern college football where I think the quarterback can be the guy that elevates you to at least the semifinals, potentially a national title. Like Will Howard, I don't want to discredit how stacked Ohio State's roster was. We've said it many times. Best roster in college football. I don't think that's really a discussion. But with that best roster in college football, I would argue Will Howard had the best playoff of any quarterback in that 12-team field. I played the most games, sure, but for me, the way that Will Howard got hot and made that whole roster work together, the way that he elevated that roster, to me was a massive part as to why that won the national championship. And so I look at a bunch of these different, again, party crashers. You look up and down all these Power 4 conferences, there's a lot of dudes now that have real next step potential to make a ton of difference for them that are going to be in their second year starting. Like just look at the SEC in general. LaNorris Sellers, DJ Lagway, Nico Iamaleava, Marcel Reed, John Mateer. I get it's a new place at Oklahoma, but like it's his second full year starting in the same system under Ben Arbuckle coming over from Washington State. The Big Ten, Raiola, Jaden Maiava, not had a full year necessarily under at USC, but it's his second year being the guy, if you will, getting past the keys towards the end of the season. The Big 12, Sam Leavitt, Avery Johnson at Kansas State, the ACC, Kevin Jennings, Eli Holstein. So you see, I'm naming all these different individuals. What's going to make the difference for those teams finding a way to elevate and to win their conference, and by that nature, being a team that makes the college football playoff and having a chance to make some noise when they get there? I'm not trying to, again, dismiss the importance of roster talent, but let's just play this hypothetical game. I know hypothetical has kind of become a dirty word in college football media as of late, but let's try to do this together sort of under the radar. Let's just say, for example, DJ Lagway gives you an all-SEC product in 2025. Say he plays at that level. Is there any game on Florida's schedule where they're definitely going to lose? Is there any game you just say, nope, Florida, sorry, can't win that one? Georgia's got a new quarterback. I mean, the way that Florida finished the year last year should inspire a lot of confidence. It's kind of the preview to the rest of the movie. Like, if DJ Lagway is that dude, how are we talking about Florida? Talk about Nebraska and the Big Ten. We broke down their schedule the other day talking about Phase 3 of the Matt Rule era. If Dylan Raiola takes a massive step, getting some more time with Dana Holgorsen, we saw how he performed at the end of the year as the new OC out there in Lincoln and how he made strides. Y'all, if Dylan Raiola elevates to where he's an all Big Ten caliber quarterback, Nebraska's making the playoff. And again, a lot of folks are going to say you're pandering, you're this, you're that, because there's this thought that, pro-Nebraska propaganda puts you in a good spot on YouTube. That's not the point I'm making here. Dylan Raiola, if he elevates, puts Nebraska in a different category in 2025 because of what I just said. Ohio State, new quarterback. Michigan, should be really good, new quarterback. Penn State, new quarterback. Penn State returning a quarterback. Oregon, a new quarterback. Like there's a lot of uncertainty across this conference with schools that you would probably tab as the quote-unquote favorite to win the conference. And that's for really any given conference in college football at this point in time. So how does how do these guys make the jump is probably the next question. Okay, JD, you're telling me that if DJ Lagway balls out, good things happen. And it's the same for Marcel Reed as it is for Nico Iamaleava, as it is for LaNorris Sellers. All that is true. So how does that happen? Well, how does anything make sense for you? How does anything start to progress in a positive way when it comes to your doing a certain task or learning a certain skill? In school, if you have a good tutor, have a pretty good chance to up your level of game for the next test. Have a pretty good chance to start to improve in that certain subject. Great coaches are the exact same way. They have a certain way of helping the light bulb come on. Like Lincoln Riley did a great job with this with Jalen Hurts when he was at Oklahoma. Did the same thing, obviously, with multiple other quarterbacks. The point I'm trying to make is whichever quarterback is able to take the biggest jump, they're going to have a very real chance to make the most noise in 2025. Because I feel like it's that wide open across the board. Like in the playoff, of course, there's going to be a certain price of admission. Of course, you got to be able to have solid line of scrimmage play. Of course, you got to have a solid defense. But if all those factors are at least within the threshold of competitiveness from any given matchup, Florida's going to be one of those teams. Tennessee could be one of those teams. A&M could be one of those teams. So in that way, there's a lot more pressure shifting to these different staffs. And to play that out even further, let's just say that let's say it is a Kansas State that has massive success, or let's say it is a Texas A&M that has massive success, either one of those schools. At that point in time, think about the credentials you then have when it comes to developing a quarterback. Hey, we had this guy that was good last year, went to elite this year, changed our postseason, reality, and here we sit now, a team that's got a chance to go make some college football playoff noise because of how our offensive staff caters to and develops and elevates quarterbacks. When that's your billboard, Lincoln Riley's had this for a while. I mentioned that. Mike Denbrock had it at LSU, now has it at Notre Dame. Sark has this at Texas. When the quarterback position and your recruitment and development of that kind of speaks for itself, a lot of your work within your roster gets easier. You then have the poster for your movie the rest of the way. So that's a ripple effect you probably wouldn't see this year, obviously, but given the next couple of years for these different schools, if Colin Klein elevates Marcel Reed and we're saying, hey now, Colin Klein, Will Howard and what he ended up being this past season at Ohio State, seeing what Marcel Reed was at A&M, hey, we'll see now. We'll see about Colin Klein. He might not be the worst quarterback guru to commit to. Get the quarterback, guess what? People want to play with the quarterback, portal or otherwise. When you have a dude at the most important position in sports that touches the ball every single snap, there is confidence across the locker room, across the campus that we're going to be in good shape. We got a chance. And so when that's your pitch to any given recruit, hey, we got a quarterback, come play with us, we're going to be successful, starts to kind of have this domino effect. So to make my point clear here, 2025 is a really interesting year because of all these second-year starters that had a good year last year, but have a chance to make a massive jump in Be Elite and have some tremendous success and have their school break in because of those other teams that have been, known commodities, quote unquote, but still starting new players, still have to have it translate. And I think that's going to make for a really fun 2025. And the playoff is fun regardless, but it's going to become that much more exciting because of the quarterback play. Whoever develops the best and the furthest and makes the biggest jump will be a force in college football. Mark my words, across the country, we got a lot of good second-year guys. I can't wait to watch it. Cannot wait to watch it. And I know we're a ways away from it, but that's all right. Regardless, we can still get excited.